Hey, what's going on guys? How all you are doing? Welcome to the 6th tutorial on the series of making a control management system in Laravel. So if you haven't watched the 5 last tutorials on the series, please make sure to watch them before continuing this series because this is really a big deal to understand what we're going to do or what we are actually doing. So on this particular episode, we're going to talk about the AJAX. So in the last one, we have created 2 buttons. So as you can see, we have the category. We have created the functionality of adding a category. So for example, just add an example category, a category. So we get the success messages, this is session messages, and we have 2 buttons, an edit and remove. For now, they do nothing, but what we actually want to do is when we click on the remove, we get a pop-up in here. So the pop-up tells us like delete, are you sure, like a warning before removing the category completely. And when you click OK, it's gonna delete the category from the database. Otherwise, it's just gonna cancel and keep doing what you want to do. And the edit as well, we get an input field, we put the new name of the category and click OK, and the category name gonna be changed. This is what we want. So it's gonna be very simple, but we're gonna use AJAX. So if you don't know what is AJAX, AJAX is just for exchanging data without reloading the whole page. So if you wanna like just grab data from the database, like fetch data from the database without reloading the whole page, you can do that using AJAX. And AJAX actually stands for asynchronous JavaScript and XML. So you can send a request from JavaScript and handle it on the back end with your server-side language. Let's say for example PHP on our what we're actually using in here, or you can use Python or any other language. And you get a response from JavaScript and you can handle it, like show it in the page or show the data or do whatever you want. But this is what's actually is AJAX, so we're gonna use it. It's gonna be very simple for us. First things first, actually go to the code editor I'm using, Visual Studio Code. Now we have to create a JavaScript file. We have a main.js. Go under the resources, assets, JavaScript, and I have created a new folder called main, and I've put it a main.js file. And make sure to go to the app.js and require any file you add or you wanna get added into your application. Make sure to require and put your file name in here. Use the require function because this is like making your file compile it in the right time. So we have already talked about how compile assets, so you can run npm run watch to compile that because we really need to compile any changes we do into the file. I'm gonna wait for this to run. Until that, we're gonna go to the category.blade.php, and under these buttons we're gonna just change some things. So we're gonna need to add an event or an attribute to know which button has been triggered or not. So as you can see, I've already done this. Like the most of the code of this AJAX I've already implemented, tested out, like it's working. But I'm gonna explain step by step what it's going to do because doing it real time on the video gonna take a really long time. So yeah, just making it very simple. You're gonna understand it's very easy. So adding an attribute called data.js equals open edit, and when we put an attribute equals like data.js open edit, this is gonna open up a pop-up with an edit, like an edit field that's tell us like we are going to edit a category. On the other case, we have data.js equals open remove, and this one gonna remove, just open up a pop-up and tell us like delete, are you sure? When we click OK, you're gonna delete the category. So this is gonna open up the pop-up for the remove. This one is for the edit pop-up, and here we have inside this a span, and we give this span an ID of the actual category. So the span gonna render out the category ID, so we can use that later on in our JavaScript code to get the ID of the category, then send it onto our PHP. So PHP can use the ID to find the category from the database, then like remove the category or something, or edit the name of the category. So that's why we use this ID. Make sure to put it in there. And this is all the things we are starting just using a class and just about a name, simple things. So for this handler, we need to use a pop-up. I've already done a pop-up or created a file called models.blade.php. So when you go to the under the views include, there is a model.blade.php. Make sure to put that in there. You can create your own models because this is very simple, creating a model. For professional things, you might need to create your own and create an object like JavaScript object that gonna parse all the data and make you like allow you to fully control this and add things, remove things. But for now we're using a Bootstrap model. You can find this, I've grabbed this snippet from the official website of Bootstrap. So you can go ahead and check out the website. You can find this on our recent tutorial on the main website of iProduce.com for sure. Or you can just grab the source code of this from the GitHub. So the both model, we have the remove model and we have an edit model. The remove model, just get delete, are you sure? And you have two buttons. The first button is a button with the class primary, and we have data.js-type equals model-submit. So I have added this button to know like this is the submit button for the remove. In the other case, I'm not using that because when you use two things, like when you use this and you use it like twice, use it in the first model and the second pop-up model, you're gonna trigger the events twice. So when you click the button, you're gonna open up the two pop-ups. So you don't want this confliction. What I'm doing is using another form, like when this form is submitted, you're gonna run the AJAX call. It's very, very simple. I'm not using that because of the misconfliction. So this is the models, feel free to use them. Now under our main.js file, we are actually going to open up models. So first things first, we have the remove model up here, and the remove model, we're gonna actually to trigger this like remove model. So we have data.js equals open remove on click, so we are listing the event. So on the click event happening on that, and remember this is the button of our category.play.js, this one, like this is the button I'm talking about. So we're listing the event. So if you're not familiar with jQuery events, bindings and listening, so please make sure to learn that first, because this is gonna be a basic thing for you to make AJAX and pop-ups and all of this kind of things we are doing right now. So therefore we're binding the click events and just canceling long clicks just for testing purposes, like you know, like this is a button that has been clicked for debugging, and this one is especially for Bootstrap. So if you are using a model from Bootstrap, as in my case in here, please make sure to call this. But if you're using a custom thing, you can just use the CSS show and hide methods to show and hide the pop-up. But this one is especially for Bootstrap. We put the remove model ID, which is specifically for the remove model. In here it has an ID of remove model, and we just call the function or the method model and just gonna open up the model for us. And here we're gonna handle the AJAX. So let me just give you that. I've already commented this out and added it in here. I'm gonna explain every single code in here. It's gonna be very simple. Once you learn AJAX, it's very simple to use and manipulate as well. So let's refresh the page, and as you can see we have the remove. When we click on the remove, we get a nice pop-up animated thing, and it looks looking really nice. Delete, are you sure? And what we want is when we click this OK button, now when we click get nothing, like literally nothing. Or the category removed successfully, I believe. I don't know, I have a problem in here. Sorry guys. Yeah, it's removed successfully. I didn't disable the functionality. As I told you, I've already implemented that for testing purposes, but doesn't matter. Let me just recreate that category that we have just deleted. Sorry this. Okay, as I've said, when you click the remove, we get the pop-up, and what we want, and we click on this OK button, we want this category disappear and the page reload for like taking changes and letting us know that the category has been successfully deleted, with rendering this really nice message like category name and category has been successfully removed, not add. We are talking about the remove situation in here. So to add that, actually we're gonna need to add it simple as, so let me just open up the DevTools. So if you're making a JavaScript changes, make sure to open up the DevTools to make these changes like take effects, because Chrome uses a cache and you don't want to use this. Just open up the DevTools for changes to take effects. And here we are listening for the AJAX. So this data.js-type equals model submit. We have already mentioned that. So if we go to the model and also all the way down into the button, like the OK button in here, so we click this button, you're triggering the event. So we have added this data.js-type on the JavaScript, on the JavaScript file, we're listening the click event. So on the click, we're just gonna run this AJAX call. Let me uncomment this and uncomment this out as well. So for that, we're using an AJAX, and this is how you initiate an AJAX using jQuery. Another frameworks or another libraries might have their own initializing like template or initializing way, but this is how jQuery way has been done, being done actually. So we call AJAX when we give it like a couple of attributes. We have the URL, and which URL gonna be triggered on this AJAX, like where to send requests, and this is the URL, and we use this URL to route then into our method on the controller, then to handle it with the database. I'm gonna talk about this a bit in a moment. Actually, we have the method post. You can use any HTTP method in here. I'm using post because we are posting data, like we are sending data and we are getting a response. You can use the get just to get a response, but I believe using get you can still send data, but post is always preferable for the AJAX calls. And we have data type using JSON. So what data type or return type we're expecting, and we are expecting actually a JSON. And we have the data to send. So for the data to send, we are sending the ID of the category. So remember when I told you about the category.plate.php, we are sending the ID of this span, an ID of this actual category. So later on this JavaScript, we get the ID, then we send it onto our PHP. So we let the PHP file to know which ID we're talking about, which category ID we're talking about actually, then like search for the database for this specific ID and let us remove or edit or manipulate this category or any other thing, not just the categories. This is just a specific example in this case. So the ID, I'm using a jQuery selector, then finding a span. Remember, because we have added this like data.js equals open and remove, we have added it under the A element. Then we find a child, which is the span. Then the span has an attribute, an ID. So when we say that, it's gonna return the ID, this one. So when we return, this one is gonna be replaced by the ID of the category, and we're gonna get it on the runtime. That's why we use this JavaScript. That's why JavaScript is very powerful in this kind of things, and that's why AJAX uses JavaScript. Anyway, we have another thing is success. So I haven't mentioned this. Data use a JSON, like a structured data. So you structure your data as a JSON thing, and this is all of JavaScript. Like you pass in an object, and this is what you really want to do, like in the most of the cases, all of most cases actually. So this success is gonna be triggered whenever like you get a success, not an internal error, like not a 404 like URL, this URL not found or something, or a 500 internal server error. No, we get a success, we're gonna return this error. On an error, like a 404 HTTP response, you get this one. We're just gonna console this log for debugging purposes. And here we're just gonna console log the success. But what we're actually doing is we're telling if the result.success, like, which means we have returned a success message, then we're gonna document.location.reload, which means, like, let me comment this out, reload the page. So that means we have successfully deleted the category from the database. So we need to reload our page for like letting the user know that the category has gone, and show a new table that has no category exists anymore. Like the category that we have deleted is not existing anymore on that table. You get the point. So we have document.location.reload equals true, just forcing reload. And on else, like we have in success, you can tell here else if and result the error, and this one actually we control it by ourselves. You can return in here like blah blah or whatever, it's just depending on you, but error is like for the naming convention, I'm just canceling the error that we have got. So here we are using the delete category. So the URL we are pointing to is delete category. So for the URL, we need to go and route this URL into our controller, so it knows where to go, into what specific function, then it's gonna deal with it or handle the request and return a response using, or return a JSON response. So for that, we go all the way down into web.php, and as you can see here, we have a remove category and edit category. I'll talk about it in a bit. So remove category, we have a post, like route post request, and it's gonna be triggered on this URL, like delete category. Then we're gonna point it to or route it to the category controller at remove category function, and we give it a name like category.remove for referencing, for the feature referencing actually. So the remove category is a function on our controller. So now if you go to the controller, category controller, scroll all the way down, you can use any function in here, but for like naming convention, or I just personally like doing a new functions for the AJAX calls. So I create a new function called remove category and the request. And what I'm actually doing in here, so first of all, I'm finding the category. So remember, we have passed in the ID of this category, the specific category. So we've passed in this ID. Now we're gonna go ahead and tell category find or fail, and this is gonna find the category. If it's found, gonna return success. If there's no category presented under that ID, we're gonna return an error or an exception. Better say, and this is the request ID. We're getting the ID of this particular category. Since we have, if we go to the main.js, we have just named this an ID. If you name yourself like category ID, please make sure to change this one because this is very sensitive and it's the same name actually, or the same variable. Now we're deleting the category and we're using a method under our model. It's called category delete, and on the instance of the category, since we have find the category ID, it's very simple, as simple as that. Now this is just a messaging session message for better say, and we have just done a session flash, and this one just gonna flash the session once. So we have already talked about this in the last tutorial. Please make sure to watch this first. And returning a success message. This is what I was talking about. So not this one, no, this is one. We're returning a success session message, and we're just telling category named removed successfully. Now we're returning a success, and we're setting category name named successfully. So let's say we have another algorithm, so where we trigger an error. So we're gonna return an error, and this one not gonna be evaluated. So we're gonna have result.error, and it's just gonna console log the error that we have got. So in this case, we have the success. Since we have set this success, you can change this name, or also change this one because this is a JSON thing. We have returned a JSON. You can use this in an array, like tell it to like success. It's very simple, it's gonna work, no problems, but the preferable way to use it like a dot notation. This one is called the dot notation, by the way. Then we are reloading the page. As simple as that, it's very easy, very simple. Then we are removing the category. We turn, and I haven't talked about, so we're returning a JSON encode. And this function actually gonna encode an associative array, a PHP associative array into a JSON object, and it's gonna return it. So that's why you use JSON encode. You can remove this JSON, and you don't wanna use like JSON encode in here, but using a JSON on AJAX is very, very recommended. And you do it like makes your life way much more easier than you can expect. Anyway, now this one is working perfectly. This is all about AJAX. It might seem like for the first look it seems a bit like frustrating, very hard, but no, it's very simple, very, very easy peasy. Now after saving that, make sure to save it, reloading the page, make sure your DevTools is open for making the changes take effect on your browser, especially for Chrome users. Now remove get the model, we click OK, it's gonna reload since we have used that reload method, and it's gonna reload and it's gonna tell us that the category has been successfully removed and we get no categories on the table. As simple as that, easy peasy, as I've told you, just as simple as that. Now moving on into the edit category, it's gonna be very, very simple. The same way we have done the remove, just changing the name. Not in this particular case, we're not removing, we're just changing the name of the category instance from the oldest name to a new name. As simple as this. So let me add just the category for testing purposes, and now this is the like remove model trigger. Now down here I've just copied paste this one and paste in here, down in here, for just not making it takes a lot of time. And this code is already being implemented. I've done this, so I will grab this and copy paste in a second. But for now, the first thing I'm using data.js equals open edits. So we're triggering this button again. So open edits, so clicking or binding the click events, then we constantly log clicked, then we are opening the model, specifically edit model, not remove model. and the models edit model is like all the way down, it has an ID of an edit model, as simple as that, as we have done on the last job or in the last instruction, as you can say. And we open in the model. If you go in here, click edit, and the model is being opened, and this specific model or the edit model has an input field and a form fulfilling this form. So for the model, actually, we have added some attributes. Enter here the form, on where the input field I've added like the data.js-type, and this is like specific or a custom attribute. We have added edited text, so we can refer this on our AJAX code to get the actual text we have typed in here, or the user types in here, to pass it through AJAX to your controller method or PHP to handle the request or change the category name or the instance of the category name. And here we have in the bottom a form, just to check if the form has been submitted, then we can run the AJAX call. This is it, simple as that. So here, down here we are saying edit form dot submit, not like this one. This one we're triggering a button, but this one we're triggering a form. Just do it a form because it's gonna differentiate things. But for professionals, it's gonna find another way for for differentiating things from like a form, like two different models pop-ups. So here we need to run our AJAX call. So we can say AJAX, and I can say URL, and this URL gonna be like /. Make sure to use the / which tell us like we're in a home. So edit category, and we have the data type. I'm gonna use JSON, and let me add just the method, and the method of course gonna be a post, as we have done with the last one, and this is the JSON. Now what we need is I believe the data, the actual data. I'm gonna pass in an object, and it's gonna have the ID the same as the above, because we're gonna look for the category. So we need to find the category from the database using the ID, then we're gonna edit the name of that particular category. As simple as this. So we get the ID, and here, so go all the way down into here, paste this one, and we add another thing is just, I don't really like this style, so please let it go to default, add a comma, go all the way down, and add the name. So this name attribute is going to represent the new name of the category type on the pop-up model. So for that, we're going to go to the pop-up model, we grab this data.js-type to know which field we are representing in here, and using the power of jQuery, we tell it just to find us this one. So let me just make sure to know, or to make sure you know how to use the jQuery selectors before using that, because this is very important thing. Then we're gonna say get the value of that, and it's gonna get us the value. Everything's gonna be set up. Now we have the success. So a success is gonna run a function with the results, and this result is gonna came from like the returned results by the PHP or the backend script, and we have another error. It's gonna also return a function, and this error is gonna be our error that has been like thrown out, or raised error. I'm just gonna console.log and AJAX error. Okay, I'm gonna say error at the end in here. So for that, and here we're gonna like do the same thing on the top here. So let me just copy paste this as far as possible. So copy pasting. So copy pasting can be very dangerous. Please make sure to like know what are you doing, because this is gonna like kill your application and kill you as well for debugging purposes if you wanna like make a really big scale application. And for that, we have a success, we have an error, and this is all what we need to implement for the AJAX call. And here for the prevent from the submitting, this method actually what it does is prevent from reloading. So we have a default form in here. So this default form, when you submit the form, it's gonna automatically reload the page for you. So you don't want that, because you are using AJAX, so you like from the beginning, don't want to reload the page at all. So use this method will prevent the page from reloading. So use the E, and this E is like an events method, like default event method on any jQuery a callback function. So you can find it there, e.prevent default, gonna prevent that. Now go into the controller itself, the category controller all the way down, and I have already done this like edit category function. It takes a request, and we're gonna find the category as we have done here, find or fail, and using the ID that we have passed in and changing now the name. We are now changing the name of the category to the new name. So we're saying name, request name, and this one we have set it in our jQuery in here specifically. So here we are changing the name, then we are updating, and this method gonna update. You can use the save method like category save, but this is not recommended at all. You like most of the time use the update because it's way much more recommended than this save method. Here we are updating the records, and we are using a session to success category name to successfully changed, and changed successfully. We are returning a success message in here as well for the session. So simple as this is how you use it. For further information, you can check out the Laravel documentation for more information like how to deal with the Laravel model and the collection and everything is that. I'm gonna find everything in there, don't worry. Now main to the JS, we should handle like the success by reloading and the error. Now everything should look fine. Going in head, reload. Now let's see our changes, and now let's try to edit the category itself. For a second, click on edit, we get this nice input field like new named category. Press OK, and it should run successfully. Now as you can see, it has been reloaded, but we still get a message in here. So method not allowed, method not allowed. I believe I haven't prevented from submitting, but I'm doing this in here. I don't know, having an error. Let me just copy paste my oldest code. I believe I have an error in here. So which error actually I don't know. So I'm preventing the defaults. So what is going on? No idea. Try this again. Should work, but it's not working actually. It's just giving us the no message error. Just put something. Okay. Reloading again, but yeah, we're getting, because we haven't refreshed it correctly. Just make sure to everything is working fine. Now category name successfully changed to www, but this is just an arbitrary name. Don't take care of this, but it is working using AJAX and the success messages and the remove as well. Click OK, you're gonna remove the category. So everything is set up, edit and remove. We're gonna use this AJAX call as well for the post, like on the dashboard, to edit and remove the post. Gonna be very simple, as you've seen in here. One thing I haven't mentioned in the tutorial is if the AJAX call won't work for you, like it's gonna give you like a 409 response status, like an error for 409 HTTP error, please make sure to include these. Like go to the app.play.php or the main layout app, and up there you need to use the token, like this AJAX token. Put the meta name CSRF token content CSRF token. You can know more about this by doc or by searching for Laravel CSRF protection. It's gonna tell you how to do that. Please make sure to include that in the header or in the head. And down here we need to change or set up the headers of the AJAX call from like jQuery. Use a script AJAX setup headers and sets the x-csrf token and set the meta name equals csrf token and attribute content actually. So what is this actually doing is protecting us from the CSRF cross-site attacks. So it's really big like vulnerability on the most of the PHP websites out there, but using Laravel gonna protect you from a lot of vulnerabilities, and this one is like very big and vulnerability that's most of the hackers targets nowadays, but it's gonna protect you. So if you have an errors, please make sure to include those on the app.play.php the main layout page, the meta, and this let's set up scripts, AJAX setup headers. So I guess this is pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you really enjoyed this one. To make sure to subscribe, push that like button for appreciating our work, and why not becoming Patreon? That will help us and make our words for doing way much more tutorials a week. I'm struggling to make the tutorials, recording them a couple of times and editing them, then uploading them with an internet connection. It just makes it a little bit more harder. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you really enjoyed. See you in the next video tutorial. Stay tuned.